Hello and welcome back. Hope you had a nice fall break. I am not assuming that you've begun the Joy Luck Club yet until today. I'm assigning it today because I did say read something for fun last week, something that you choose. But we're back into our world of study, and of course I only pick books for you that I think are wonderful. So this is one of my favorites from when I was about your age, when I was a teenager. And I think I really connected to it because it's a book about mothers and daughters, and I just was very aware of my budding independence at that age. I was ready to go be my own person. And it really, for me, circled around this question of how much am I my own and how much am I an extension or reflection of these adults in my life? I felt myself drawn to that question as I read the book. And I give you that question now. I think that in the end of the day, the book is all about this instruction the mothers want to give to their daughters in how to laugh forever, how to be happy. And there's deep distance between them in how to achieve that laughter. But there's hope too. So I hope you enjoy the beginnings of the book. We are going to start in this way. I'll show you the map of the reading plan. It's divided in 4 parts, and we'll read a part a week. So this week, please read Feathers from 1,000 Li Away, and we'll finish it that last full week before Thanksgiving. We are going to do it timed right, of course. We're actually going to do one sooner in the unit so that you'll have time to revise it this time. Our concepts are going to track this arrangement, so structure, and then narrative, perspective, or distance, and then foils, and lastly, reliability. So structure. This week is all about understanding the ways that books can structure themselves, and then more specifically, as we move into the week, how Joy Luck Club does. The creative analysis assignment today, though, is a little bit more broad because you're just starting the book. So I'm asking you to do 2 little things, and I'll get into that in a moment. First, structure. We're in the 3rd strand of the 7 strands of AP Literature. Structure is first asking you to identify, well, what is the structure of a book? And then the second thing you'll do in 3B is explore why that structure is used. The key understanding today is that not all structures are traditional. Some narrative structures interrupt the chronology of a plot. Such structures can include flashback, foreshadowing, in media res, and stream of consciousness. They can create suspense, anticipation, and they can build tension. So as you are looking at these structures today, and as you are beginning to brainstorm for what books have filled different structures in your eyes, the key questions are, to what degree does the plot honor a linear or a non-linear sequence? Linear means chronological. Non-linear would be the opposite, not chronological, somehow jumbled, maybe backwards. There's so many non-linear, non-traditional sequences and structures that we can only begin to list them here. But I will do so. So here's my glossary of literary terms, and this is on the website. So if you're on the site, on the left sidebar, it's underneath the teacher tools or references for you. It's called Glossary. I'm going to reference this a lot starting now. Every week, I'm going to try to bring it in at least a little because we want to start building our vocabulary of literary terms beyond the basics. And so, structure is the very first page. This is copied from that. The first is linear structure, basically everything that you have thought about traditional structure. There might be flashback because it's very difficult to build character without it, but for the most part, the plot moves along, tick-tock, right through time. This is The Lord of the Flies. It's a great example. Whenever you get into, is it media res in the middle of the action, or is it linear, you have to always remember a story must begin somewhere, so it's always going to begin in some action. But is it beginning in the middle of the conflict that is most pertinent to the book, or is it just some conflict that needs to set the things in motion? So most stories are linear. And when we get into nonlinear structure, we start to see the ways that people have really played with that, especially in the last 100 years. But by and large, the default setting is still linear. All right, so then there's nonlinear. The events of the story are reported in a jumbled or non-chronological fashion. It could be a lot of things. In media res is dropping you in the middle of the action. A framed narrative is when there's a bookended story. So when you frame in on Marlowe as he sits in his boat outside of London, he's talking to these people in his boat about a crazy thing that happened to him when he went to Africa. The story about Africa is Heart of Darkness. But then at the end of it, we go back to Marlowe in the boat, talking to his sailor friends. That's a framed narrative. There's flashback. Everything is told in terms of the past events. There's epistolary, a series of epistles, episodes, vignettes, letters that are linked to one another. They might go back and forth. They might have alternating perspectives, but they are usually pretty short. All right, and there's many more. So I'll add to that list, the structure list in the glossary, and please feel free to share any that you think I'm missing because we can keep building it together. But that is partly your task, so I won't give too many examples now because I want you to come up with some. Before I do, though, you might be wondering this. You can absolutely blend structures, and authors often do. The Joy Luck Club is a blend. I don't want to say which one because I want you to think about that this week and construct your own knowledge. But, for example, The Sound and the Fury, that's 3 structures at least. It's epistolary, it's flashback, it's in media res. It's definitely non-linear, but it's a blend. And there's others too. Still, I'd like you to take this survey for your creative analysis assignment number 1, which is, it looks like this. Simply asking you your name, and then what are some examples of books with linear structure, with in media res structure, with epistolary structure. Show me what you know about all of the different ways that narrators can order the events of their novel. That's step 1. So we're just identifying structure. And step 2 is, what would you do? So I want you to think about this question, or this series of questions. If you were to write the story of your life so far, where would you begin? Would you begin at the beginning? Or somewhere else? Would you start now, right now, and then go back? Would you do a frame story? Would you start in the middle of some defining event? What would that event be? I'd like you to write a paragraph explaining what you would do if you think about your unique life. What would be most appropriate to honor it? And then write the first line of that story for fun, and we'll share them with each other. Please post these, as always, in your BGD and also to the discussion board, and that is your creative analysis assignment. I look forward to reading them, and I'll see you soon.